So, what are we supposed to do when we're too worried about what other people think? We live in culture, we live in a society. We're supposed to be polite, we're supposed to worry. And, there's a healthy, I guess, amount of worry in terms of thinking about other people and being kind, being compassionate. When people say, I don't care what other people think, I'm like, I don't believe you, right? I don't believe you. I call you out on that. So what happens though when we're too worried? Because that's codependency. There's three aspects to codependency: a false sense of responsibility, a lack of objectivity, and either being controlled or being controlling. And so truly, we can have a false sense of responsibility that we're going into relationships with. And I was just having a conversation about this last night with two of my really good friends. And I said, I have this thing where I go back and forth in my mind where I'm thinking, okay, I know something's going on with a friend or somebody I know, and I don't want them to think that I don't care. So then I reach out to them because I don't want them to think I don't care. And then I'm like, wait, do I actually care? Where's my empathy? Right? So part of me is worried about what they think, and if they're going to think I am thinking about them. And then another part of me actually wants to know and is feeling empathic. And so one of those can get ahead of me. And I want the part that's truly empathic to be the one that's leading, not the part that's too worried about what they think. And in Life Model, we would call that more of a fear bond. If I have a fear bond with you, I'm really reaching out to you because I don't want you to feel like you're not cared about and then get upset with me later or say, nobody cared about me, nobody reached out to me, nobody was there for me, versus that part of me that's like, oh, my friend is going through this, their parent just passed away, or their child is sick, or they're under stress with their job or their own physical or mental health. It gets kind of exhausting to be human, I suppose. And we are just needing to, as humans, connect to what does it mean to be me? And what does it mean to be in relationship with others in a love bond, not a fear bonded type of way? How do I lead with love? How do I lead with love? And knowing that we are in information overload as a culture. I was actually having this conversation a couple of years ago, and it comes back to mind quite often that we're in such information overload. Back in the day, before I was born, we didn't have information transmitted so quickly. Like, you didn't know what was going on in the community, even a couple miles away, versus 100 miles or thousands of miles away across the ocean. You didn't know everything that was happening. And there were crises happening, but you only knew the crises in your direct community. And so it wasn't as overloading to the nervous system to have all this information about murders and abductions and all of these horrific things that are happening. So yes, of course, things were happening back then, bank robberies and murders and all the things that are happening today, probably at a higher rate now, I'm assuming. But those things, not everybody knew all the things that were happening as quickly as they were happening. We are in information overload, and it creates a sense, I think, of either living in anxiety of the thing that's going to happen to me. And this is a conversation that came up last night in my conversation with friends as well. Is like, we're scared about the thing that's happening, because we watch true crime or something like this. And we're like, oh no, that thing's going to happen to me. Is it likely to happen to me tonight that the bad guy's going to come to my house? Maybe it's not likely, but I still think, well, it could happen. So it makes us think, these things are going to happen. So we're either living in anxiety about things, or we're numbing out and we're no longer having empathy for what's going on around us. So what happens when we're too worried? Well, we're living in a state of anxiety. We're living in a state of hyperarousal, or we're going into hypoarousal. We're not in our window of tolerance, which means we're actually not showing up for each other in our core selves, which is super problematic because it means we are not showing up as human. We are living the rat race. We are disconnecting from self, where that means that our families aren't experiencing us. We're all we're human doings, but we're not human beings. And I think there is a push to come out from among them and be separate and do community again. That there's something really beautiful about doing community and being in community and having a more simple life. One of my best friends is Native American, and I definitely have interviewed her on the podcast, and she's in our foundations course. As we've been in community together for years and years, and she sent me something on socials that was really beautiful about a young Native American man who's saying, I want to go back to this tribal way of being in community where life was simple. And sure, there's complicated and emotional things were happening, but we're eating the food from the earth, where we are knowing each other at a high level. We're living not just in our family units in community, but in an extended family unit. And there's really a push, even in the area where I live here in North Carolina, to buy some family property for everybody to live together on that property, to grow your own food, to have the kids raised in multi-generational community, to be a part of something bigger than yourself and not be as focused on self in terms of my own social media platform, my own podcast, my own business, but that it all is working together in this greater community for the greater good, that I don't know myself outside of who I am with my people, which is really neurobiologically how we're designed and wired to be. And we've really gotten away from it. And I think that creates a real problem when we're trying to be interdependent rather than codependent, to not be too worried, but to be worried, to enter into the type of community where what you're going through impacts me at a real level. And I'm not just pretending I'm worried about it to make you feel good and to make my anxiety to go away, but to actually care, to actually be bonded to each other. And we can't be bonded to more than a certain number of people. We have to choose our community and to grow in it. We have family, but we also have framily, right? We have the family that we choose to do community with, that we're truly invested in and creating belonging with. And it doesn't mean the people who are easiest for us to be around. It means the people who life has put in our path, and we say to them and they say to us, you're my people. And we're in this through thick and thin, and we're not going to cycle through this because there's conflict. I've been having a ton of really great communication with my young adult sons about this concept. And they're like, hey, we're invested, trying to invest in community around us, but noticing that some people are appearing like they're in connection and community with me. And then sooner than later, they're out. They ghost me. They're on to something else, and it's hurtful. And I think for my sons, they've grown up with me as their mother, and we're trying to do community at a deep level. And so when it doesn't happen, it's painful. And this is part of the conversation I was having last night with my friends as well. Like, rejection and disconnection isn't something that we just go, well, it's just because they this and this and this, and we explain it away. No, when I offer my heart to you in bonded connection, I'm offering a part of myself. And when you take that away, it's painful, and it's going to be, and that's good and healthy. And I'm not going to just breeze over it. It's going to be part of how I experience life. So there is a thing about being too worried because I'm codependent. But when I'm interdependent with you, that worry is not going to be fear-based. It's going to be a natural, empathic way to connect human to human. And when I do that, I'm offering a part of myself that will be pained if there's disconnection, whether you're upset with me or whether something happens to you that takes you away from me. or whether you are having experiences within yourself that take you away. And I'm still offering that place of unconditional love and desire to connect. But there's something that goes on with you that you can't stay in that with me. That's sad for me. And it's supposed to be. And I guess life's not supposed to be easy. I guess life is difficult. Life is hard. And so even though I am feeling this today and hoping to feel more joy tomorrow, grief and the concept of ambiguous grief, look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. The concept of ambiguous grief is just part of life being hard, and me learning to live in my window of tolerance where I have joy and I have peace, but I also have ongoing grief that I am bringing before God and I'm acknowledging within myself, so that I can show up the truest and best self that I possibly can be every day of my life, all day long, giving myself the gift of rest and limits, and in increasing my ability to live in appreciation so I can live in rhythms of joy and peace, but also recognizing that grief is part of this. So thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm Monica with CFT Institute. If you want to learn more about the life model and the 30 core concepts that are present in our life model informed therapy curriculum, check us out at cftinstitute.com. And remember, healing spreads when counselors live in joy. Until next time.